No, art in itself is a grace given to us by God, and it is that which we can learn through doing art, that it can bring forth this comforting and this direction. It can actually help us to understand where we have been and where we're going, and it can kind of reorient the whole trajectory of our life. So like I get it, art will save us. Like I don't have a problem with it. It's like, yeah, that's fine. But if I were going to redefine it for myself, it's art can show us how Christ has saved us. Art will reveal to us the means by which God is going to save us. It is an eternal truth that we are saved and being saved constantly. And if it is a current state of being saved, that gets really confusing because everything is so chaotic with life. So the art will save us thing is kind of like God is saving me through art. My name is Asa Maestes. I'm a potter in Peoria, Arizona, and I've been working with clay for about 16 years. I do a lot of carved work on my pottery, so after the form is thrown on the wheel, I remove layers of clay to create fun patterns and designs. My life today looks a lot like being a dad of four while trying to juggle your own business. Actually, the art itself of making pottery is a bit of the sanctuary of the chaos of the rest of my life. So while we have a pottery studio, I teach classes multiple times a week. I used to teach 6 days a week. Since handing off a few of those classes, I teach maybe 3 or 4 days a week, which is nicer. But there also comes time where I have to fill orders and I have to make sure things are getting fired, make sure that the studio is operating. Not as much of my time is spent just creating anymore, which is, one of the trials of actually having business start to succeed. You have to shift your hats a little bit and do something a little bit different. But yeah, I got 4 kids. Oldest is 6, about to turn 7. And then I have a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 10-month-old, all below that. 3 boys, and the baby is a girl. And so dealing with little kids is often messy and wonderful. It's loud and chaotic, and it's also very beautiful. So my life isn't one that I would say is very peaceful right now. It's actually quite turbulent at times, but it's peaceful in its turbulence. It's very consistent in how inconsistent things are. And so, uh, yeah, there's a lot of beauty in it. There's a lot of chaos, but the beautiful part about it being so chaotic is that the actual act of creating and the art has kind of been kept as this sacred place where I'm able to go as an escape from everything in life, where I can find some peace and solitude in there in a very healthy way. So I think that creative is like being creative is kind of the there's that phrase like creation, or I don't know actually what the phrase is, but like creativity is the companion of necessity or something to that effect, where you become more creative out of need to become more creative. And uh, I think that's where my creativity really got stimulated. Where when I was in high school, I was trying to figure out how to attach or how to make sense of life after the loss of my mom, and I really did not know where to go with it. And it was actually my brother who first got me to be creative, because I went and visited my brother who was in the Navy in high school. Spent my whole summer with him, so like 2 months. Um, in Virginia, in the middle of nowhere, in a farm town called Moyock. There was nothing to do, and he saw me after being there for like a week or two. He's like, you're depressed. Like there's nothing going on. You're just sitting waiting for the day to end, and you're not doing anything. You need to do something." And I was like, well, what do I do? And he's like, do something creative. I'm like, what does that even mean? And he gave me, I want to say it's like twisting wire that you use to actually like tie frames together when you're doing like concrete pours. You tie together the wrought iron with like this wire that you put together, and you twist the wrought iron together to give the concrete a frame. Well, he gave me the wire and the pliers that help you to actually twist it, and a box of old license plates. You know, he was in the Navy and he got shipped around the country all the time. And so he had like 40 or 50 license plates in a box. And he gave me the wire and he gave me the license plates, and he said, make something with this. And so I did. I actually played a lot of disc golf when I was a kid. So I made like a hanging disc golf basket. It was just two-dimensional. It laid flat. I just arranged the license plates together to actually create this disc golf basket. And I realized that I could actually do something. Like at that point in my life, it felt like I was very told what to do my whole life, because I was, my parents were pretty strict. I was made to go to church every week. I wasn't allowed to do a whole lot of things, and it was well intentioned. But then after my mom passed, there was nobody to tell me to do anything, and so I had this ingrained in me. No, you're not supposed to act on impulsive things, but also there's nobody there to to tell you what to do. So I was just kind of stuck, and trying to put together the pieces. And so when I started doing more creative things, it was actually an outlet to help me figure out how to do anything, and kind of came out of a place of not really having anything else to really guide me. And so it became an avenue for self-discovery, and it became a way that I could actually start figuring out, what did I think about things and how did I feel about things? Because when you're raised in a relatively strict household, self-discovery is not really a thing that's encouraged. And when you take away anybody who would impede the natural course of actually discovering yourself and your opinions and how you feel about things and what you think about things, you just start doing that. And so it took some encouragement at first, but then that creativity just started kind of flowing from there. And then I started working with clay shortly after that license plate thing that I made. That was the summer in between my sophomore and junior year of high school. And then that junior year, after that summer, I started working with clay, and it just right time, right place, right thing, and it just kind of kept running from there. Working with clay in high school, I had a very low opinion of myself. I had a very low self-esteem. Still wrestle with some of those thoughts today, where it's the voice would sound something like, there's not really any point for you to exist. You might as well just cease to be, and everybody would be better off. And that was something that I wrestled with since I was like 7. And it's still something that tries to eat away at me, but art was that first instance of having something that could shut that voice up. And as I started working with clay, and especially as I started doing texture work on the clay, I just started doing it because my instructor told me to. He was like, I'd be making something. He's like, great, now do that everywhere. Like, I'd be doing little texture things, and he would just encourage me to run with it. And so I ran with it. And as I did, as a high schooler with very low self-esteem, listening to my teacher who's saying, just go for it, I noticed that the kids around me were actually giving me compliments. And they were saying like, whoa, that's really cool. Like, what you're doing, that's incredible. How did you do that? And asking me questions and stuff like that. And so I noticed that as I started actually just going for it, if it didn't increase how I felt about myself, it actually got me recognition with my peers. And for a teenager, that's like one of the most important things you could have. So I might not have anything else going for me, but I had the texture thing going for me. And so I ran with it, and I just kept running with it. And it did give me a confidence. It gave me a bit of an identity that I needed at that time. And it it made me think that I actually could do something of value in this world, which was a first for me, and that was a godsend. At this point, it has become such an escape that everything could be on fire, but if I get clay on the wheel, it the process of centering the clay helps me to center myself, and actually pulling the form and making it reminds me to slow down, breathe, and actually just silence everything else. So it helps me to kind of put everything back into a state of equilibrium where maybe things are a little bit chaotic because kids are screaming, or maybe it's a little bit chaotic because finances are challenging, or maybe it's a little bit chaotic because of like a crisis of faith. But I get my clay on the wheel, and it just is like, I've been doing this more than half of my life at this point. I know how to do this. I don't have to think about it. I've developed so much of it going into muscle memory that I literally don't think about it. It just happens where I can get the clay centered and I can start pulling up the walls. There are times where I'm in my most stressed out uh, moments, and I go to work with clay, that I have a cylinder. Like I've centered the clay, I've raised the walls, and I have a cylinder that's like 6-7 inches tall. And then I'm like, oh, I don't know what I'm making. Like I just went into like autopilot to just kind of calm everything down, and it worked. And then I'm like, okay, here I am, my hands like up to my elbow in clay, I'm pulling it up, and then I'm like, oh, what is this going to be? I don't even know what it is, because it's just become such a rhythm of centering myself while working with the clay that it's an escape, and it helps to just kind of calm everything down.